got them T1D blues, but I don't know about you. But still, for the last 60 years, done about anything I wanted to do. I grew up in a small community in the south of Dayton, Ohio. It was called Oakwood. I think I did what most precocious little boys used to do back then, love sports, probably loved to get in trouble. My music interest probably started when I was about 11 or 12, something like that. At age 12, the sky fell in. I was losing weight, peeing continuously. I had a dry mouth all the time. And I think my mother, she feared what it was already because she had a sister who had type 1 diabetes. She did tell a story that the day we got the diagnosis that her hair turned white. But as a parent, it's a different responsibility than with a sister. They started regulating me in the hospital, continuously prodding and poking and shooting and everything else. I remember they said, well, you're going to be on insulin for the rest of your life. So we practiced. They gave me a syringe and a lemon. So that was real intriguing. After I was released from the hospital, I met a doctor who handled diabetes. He said, life as you know it is over. Be able to participate in sports. You're going to be on a strict regimen. And chances are your life expectancy is probably going to be about 50 years old. That was a pretty darn traumatic thing to tell a 12-year-old. After my doctor's original speech, I did feel kind of like I was different and not in a positive way. I did not particularly like to share the fact that I had diabetes. It was like I was defective. To put that in perspective, that would have been 1964. You used glass syringes at the time, and I had to boil them, once every week or something like that, and then kept them in a jar of alcohol. Those darn needles were, God, to me, as a kid, they seemed like they were about 2 inches long, but they were probably well over maybe an inch and a quarter or inch and a half. Even people using syringes now, they're 3/16 of an inch long or something like that. So the technology, even in a simple syringe, has vastly improved. You didn't count carbs back then. You used something called the exchange, and you were basically allowed 2 exchanges of carbohydrates and 1 of protein and maybe a half of an exchange of a fat or something like that. But the most significant thing I can think about is there was no way for you to test your own blood to know what your glucose levels were at a given moment. So if you were getting low, mostly it was feeling the symptoms. You peed in a cup and it gave you your ketones. Well, that urine could have been last night's. It wasn't a current snapshot. It was just a snapshot somewhere in time, and really wasn't effective for much other than if you continuously were high on your urine, you knew you needed to make some sort of an adjustment or go somewhere. When I was about 17 or 18, I kind of quit playing tennis and I started riding dirt bikes and racing motocross. The same type of a thing. I just had to pay attention to what was going on, and I didn't let it impact me. I didn't stay on the cutting edge. I saw some negatives and pitfalls with the initial pumps. But they've certainly the pumps have gotten smaller, the delivery systems have gotten better. We did talk to both JDRF locally, but also the JDRF International, and they were able to freely talk about some developments, some other ideas, and that's actually how we recently hooked up with Dr. Andrew Welsh.
My experience helping Al with diabetes, I believe, was motivated a lot by Marge, who is very concerned about him and his health and wanted him to have access to the latest and greatest in diabetes technology. Some of Al's goals were to be able to go swim, and to not have to wake up and have something kind of stuck to him that's gonna dangle and, bounce around like a tubed insulin pump. So we looked at a lot of different options, and ultimately we went with the Omnipod 5. We're excited to work together to get it to work very well for him. So there are a lot of developments in the world of type 1 diabetes, because every few months there's a new system or a new device that's being developed. The things that get me the most excited are the technologies that help you thrive with type 1 diabetes, where you don't have to be always thinking about type 1 diabetes, to where you can almost forget that you have it for a little bit, because the technology is working in the background to support you.
After meeting with Dr. Welsh is when I became convinced to switch delivery systems and go to the next one there. Some of the positives based around that. So I'd say that in that area, JDRF was a real help. One of the reasons that I graciously accepted this honor is I really wanted to tell my story. I wanted to show that here is someone who has had type 1 for 60 years, and I have been able to live well, do a lot of things in my life, but that with the technology that's coming out, if they follow at least some regimens and keep up to date on it, they are not hardly limited at all to what they can do and how long they can live. But the future is bright, and it's much more positive. There's a lot of people working for it. There's a lot of different projects going on at one time to see which one works best, maybe to ultimately find the cure. Please support diabetes research. We may not have them blues at all.